Hare Krishna, my friends. Welcome. Welcome to Bhaktiville. We've been reading Sri Brahma Samhita here in Bhaktiville on Friday nights, and tonight we'll continue where we left off last week. Last week we read more about Sri Krishna's qualities and how they are supramundane, that is, transcendental to the mundane world. In that description, Krishna is described as Manmatha-manmatha. Man is mind and matha is churning. So Cupid, the god of love, is Manmatha. He churns the mind and agitates or disturbs it. But Krishna is Manmatha-manmatha. He bewilders the whole universe with his love. So let's continue with this wonderful text. We're on page 70 of the PDF, text 43. But before we get started, let me offer my obeisances. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. And please accept my obeisances. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripasindhubhye vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I also offer my respectful obeisances unto the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just like desire trees and can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Thank you so much for letting me read tonight. So again, we're on page 70 of the PDF, text 43. So text 43, I've been reading about the different kinds of Sanskrit poetry, and there are different meters for different kinds of poetry, apparently, that I knew nothing about. So I'm very excited to learn about it. So this particular verse, the meter of this verse is called Vasanta Tilak, and it means something like the ornament of spring or the jewel of spring. And it's used a lot. Lord Brahma used that particular verse meter a lot here in Brahma Samhita. So just so you know, because the more you know, right, is good. All right, we'll read the Sanskrit straight through, no call and response, and then the synonyms. So, and you can read along with me if you have the text in front of you. Goloka namni nija dhamni dhalecha tasya devi mahesha hari dameshu teshu teshu te te prabhava nishchaya vihitas chayena. And everybody all together, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. All right, the synonyms. Goloka Namni, in the planet known as Goloka Vrindavan. Nija Damni, the personal abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tale, in the part underneath. Cha, also. Tasya, of that. Devi, the goddess Durga. Mahesha, of Lord Shiva. Hari, of Narayana. Tamasu, in the planets. Teshu Teshu, in each of them. Te Te, those respective. Prabhava Nichayaha, opulences. Vihitaha, established. Cha, also. Yena, by whom. Govindam, Govinda. Adi Purusham, the original person. Tam, him. Aham, I. Bhajami, worship. Translation. The lowest of all is located, Devidam, the mundane world. Next, above it, is Maheshadam, the abode of Mahesha. Above Maheshadam is placed Haridam, the abode of Hari, and above them all is located Krishna's own realm, named Goloka. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who has allotted their respective authorities to the rulers of those graded realms. Purport. So just as a note, so Lord Brahma, he does say this, Lord Brahma is looking up from his position in the lower realms. He's looking up and describing what's above him. Purport. The realm of Goloka stands highest above all others. Brahma, looking up to the higher position of Goloka, is speaking of the other realms from the point of view of his own realm. The first in order is this mundane world called Devitam, consisting of the 14 worlds, that is, Satyaloka, all those different ones. Next, above Devitam, is located Shivadam, one portion of which, called Mahakaladam, is enveloped in darkness. Interpenetrating this portion of Shivadam there shines the Sadashivaloka, full of great light. Above the same appears Haridam, or the transcendental Vaikuntha-loka. The potency of Devidam, in the form of extension of Maya, and that of Shivaloka, consisting of time, space, and matter, are the potency of the separated particles pervaded by the penumbral reflection of the subjective portion of the divinity. I really had to think about that one. So he's describing the material nature as a dim, distorted shadow of the pure eternal world, and that we're kind of caught up in it. So that's what that phrase was. Okay, back to the text. But Haridam is ever resplendent with transcendental majesty, and the great splendor of all sweetness predominates over all other majesties in Goloka. The Supreme Lord Govinda, by his own direct and indirect power, has constituted these respective potencies of those realms. So, a lot of information in this purport, and I'm going to get up and walk over because I put up a little chart to kind of explain this a little bit more, because the chart we've been using doesn't explain that. So I have them side by side here, and you can see the little circle bottom, the one universe part, right, that we have in our previous one. But over in this new one, it's named Devidam. So that's the material universe that we are currently in. And above that is Maheshadam, the Dham of Lord Shiva. And you can see him here in this illustration, riding the bull. And let's see, is he in our other illustration? He is, but very small up there. Okay, and then Haridam, the Vaikuntha planets, a little bit higher up. And I hope you're able to get this, all right, Bhaktiville, in your recording. Haridam, and here it's shown as a yantra, which is a kind of an abstract depiction of the realm itself, whereas in our other illustration, it's a little bit more picturesque, I should say. Okay, and then above that is we have the Haridam, the Vaikuntha planets, and then Vrindavan, the place of Krishna's residence. All right, so that's what's being described in this verse, a little bit differently than what we've been, different terms than what we've been using, but there it is, just the same. All right, any questions about that, Bhaktiville? Nope. Okay. All right, so we'll go on to text 44. And I'll just read it straight through. You're welcome to read it along with me. Srishti stiti pralaya sadhana shaktireka chayeva yasya bhuvanani pibarti durga icha nirupam apiyasya chacheshtate sa. All together now. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Synonyms: Srishti, creation; Sthiti, preservation; Pralaya and destruction; Sadhana, the agency; Shakti, potency; Eka, one; Chaya, the shadow; Eva, like; Yasya, of whom; Bhuvanani, the mundane world; Pibarti, maintains; Durga, Durga; Icha, the will; Anurupam, in accordance with; Api, certainly; Yasya, of whom; Cha, and; Cheshtate, conducts herself; Sa, she; Govindam, Govinda; Adi Purusham, the original person; Tam, him; Aham, I; Bhajami, worship. Translation. The external potency, Maya, who is of the nature of the shadow of the Chit potency, is worshipped by all people as Durga, the creating, preserving, and destroying agency of this mundane world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, in accordance with whose will Durga conducts herself. Purport. The aforesaid presiding deity of Devi Dham is being described. The world in which Brahma takes his stand and hymns or sings the Lord of Goloka is Devi Dham, consisting of the 14 worlds, and Durga is its presiding deity. She is 10-armed, representing the 10-fold fruitive activities. And I always like to look at all those in full. 10-fold fruitive activities kind of rolls over. It's like, what are those 10-fold things? So here they are. And these are all fruitive activities. These are not spiritual activities that are being listed. These are activities that are material activities. So keep that in mind, because some of them sound like, oh, yeah, that's a good thing to do in a spiritual life. But this is not in relation to spiritual life. This is in relation to material life. So 1, studying the Vedas for material elevation. 2, performing sacrifices and rituals. 3, charity. 4, vows and austerities. 5, ahimsa. 6, marriage. 7, constructing wells and tanks. 8, planting trees and gardens. 9, farming and agriculture. 10, trade and business. Again, all of those things we can do in spiritual life with Krishna as the focus, but these are the 10-fold fruitive activities for material wealth and prosperity, or a better birth, or children, or whatnot. Okay, so let me continue with the purport. She rides on the lion, representing her heroic prowess. She tramples down Mahishasura, representing the subduer of vices. She is the mother of 2 sons, Kartikeya and Ganesha, representing beauty and success. She is placed between Lakshmi and Saraswati, representing mundane opulence and mundane knowledge. She is armed with the 20 weapons, representing the various pious activities enjoined by the Vedas for suppression of vices. She holds the snake, representing the beauty of destructive time. Such is Durga, possessing all these manifold forms. Durga is possessed of Durga, which means a prison house. When jivas, begotten of the marginal potency, Tatashta Shakti, forget the service of Krishna, they are confined in the mundane prison house, the citadel of Durga. The wheel of karma is the instrument of punishment at this place. The work of purifying these penalized jivas is the duty devolved upon Durga. She is incessantly engaged in discharging the same by the will of Govinda, when luckily the forgetfulness of Govinda on the part of imprisoned jivas is remarked by them by coming in contact with self-realized souls, and their natural aptitude for the loving service of Krishna is aroused. Durga herself then becomes the agency of their deliverance by the will of Govinda. So it behooves everybody to obtain the guileless grace of Durga, the mistress of this prison house, by propitiating her with the selfless service of Krishna. The boons received from Durga in the shape of wealth, property, recovery from illness, of wife and sons, should be realized as the deluding kindness of Durga. Mundane psychical jubilations of Dasamahavidya, the 10 goddesses or forms of Durga, are elaborated for the delusion of the fettered souls of this world. Jiva is a spiritual atomic part of Krishna. When he forgets his service of Krishna, he is at once deflected by the attractive potency of Maya in this world, who throws him into the whirlpool of mundane fruitive activity, or karma, by confining him in a gross body constituted by the 5 material elements, their 5 attributes, and 11 senses, resembling the garb of a prisoner. That's our body. In this whirlpool, Jiva has experience of happiness and miseries, heaven and hell. Besides this, there is a subtle body, consisting of the mind, intelligence, and ego inside the gross body. By means of the subtle body, the jiva forsakes one gross body and takes recourse to another. The jiva cannot get rid of the subtle body, full of nescience and evil desires, unless and until he is liberated. On getting rid of the subtle body, he bathes in the viraja, that river between the material and spiritual worlds. So on getting rid of the subtle body, he bathes in the viraja river and goes up to Haridam. Such are the duties performed by Durga in accordance with the will of Govinda. In the Bhagavat Shloka, Vilajyamanaya Durdiyaha, the relationship between Durga and the conditioned souls has been described. So let me read the translation of that. That's in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.5.13. And the English is, the illusory energy, Maya or Durga of the Lord, cannot take precedence, being ashamed of her position. But those who are bewildered by her always talk nonsense, being absorbed in the thoughts of, it is I and it is mine. So back to our purport. Durga, worshipped by the people of this mundane world, is the Durga described above. But the spiritual Durga, mentioned in the mantra, which is the outer covering of the spiritual realm of the Supreme Lord, is the eternal maidservant of Krishna and is therefore the transcendental reality, whose shadow, the Durga of this world, functions in this mundane world as her maidservant. And he says, sloka, the purport of sloka 3. So I thought I would read a section from that purport of sloka 3 since he mentions it. And I'll just read I'll read the verses 3 and 4 and a bit of the purport because it's so It's so interesting because when we, you know, for myself, I've always been told, Durga, leave her alone. But this is all so positive about Durga. So I'm fascinated by it. So let me read some more. This is verses 3 and 4 here from Brahma Samhita. She who is the highest, most excellent potency, or Mahavishnu Sarupini, whose very self is Krishna, Krishnatmika, and who is the best of all his beloveds, is called Durga. One who realizes her surely attains the supreme Paramatma, Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Oops, I lost my place. Sorry. Bhagavan Sri Krishna in less than a moment. There is not even the slightest doubt in this regard. She is Gokuleshwari Sri Radha, the full embodiment of spontaneous love and the personification of Mahabhav. Bhagavan Sri Krishna, who is the supreme Ishvara of all existence and the God among gods, is attained by her mercy. Sri Radha is Krishna's internal potency, and she performs worship of her most beloved Sri Krishna with the entire wealth of her devotion and service. Alternatively, her most beloved Sri Krishna always engages in her worship with the entire wealth of his devotion and service. That very Sri Radha, the dearmost internal potency of Bhagavan, is known only to those who perform extraordinarily difficult worship. Therefore, saintly persons refer to Sri Krishna's beloved mistress of undivided rasa by the name of Durga. His covering potency, Mahamaya, is the controller of all the mundane worlds, and it covers and bewilders the entire population of living beings who identify with their material bodies. Okay, so I could read more, but I'll stop there. All right, text 45. Any questions or comments? I just love that particular verse and all of the intricate and hidden commentary about that verse. So wonderful. Nope. Okay. We'll move on to text 45. And again, I'll just read it through. You can read along with me. Kshiram yata tata vikara vishesha yogat saijayate nahi tata pritag asti hetaho yashambhutam apitata samupaiti karyad. Go. Say it with me. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Synonyms. Kshiram, milk. Yata, as. Dadhi, yogurt. Vikara Vishesha, of a special transformation. Yogat, by the application. Sanjayate, is transformed into. Na, not. He, indeed. Tataha, from the milk. Pratak, separated. Asti, is. Hetaho, which is the cause. Yaha, who. Shambhutam, the nature of Lord Shiva. Api, also. Tata, thus. Samupaiti, accepts. Karyat, for the matter of some particular business. Govindam, Govinda. Adi Purusham, the original person. Tam, him. Aham, I. Bhajami, worship. Translation. Just as milk is transformed into curd by the actions of acids, but yet the effect curd is neither the same as nor different from its cause, that is, milk, so I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, of whom the state Shambhu is a transformation for the performance of the work of destruction. Purport. The real nature of Shambhu, the presiding deity of Maheshadam, is described. Shambhu is not a second Godhead other than Krishna. Those who entertain such discriminating sentiment commit a great offense against the Supreme Lord. The supremacy of Shambhu is subservient to that of Govinda. Hence, they are not really different from each other. The non-distinction is established by the fact that just as milk treated with acid turns into curd, so Godhead becomes subservient when he himself attains a distinct personality by the addition of a particular element of adulteration. So if you haven't made curd before, you just add a little lemon juice. So that's the acid he's referring to in this transformation. So they're not different. It's still milk, but it's not milk, right? All right, let me get back to the purport. This personality has no independent initiative. The said adulterating principle is constituted of a combination of the stupefying quality of the diluting energy, the quality of non-plenitude of the marginal potency, and a slight degree of the ecstatic cum cognitive principle of the plenary spiritual potency. So I just want to say that this, I'm not going to try and translate this into something we might understand a little bit better, because it becomes clear at the end of this purport. All right. This specifically adulterated reflection of the principle of the subjective portion of the divinity is Sadashiva, in the form of the effulgent masculine symbol god Shambhu, from whom Rudradev is manifested. In the work of mundane creation as the material cause, in the work of preservation by the destruction of sundry asuras, and in the work of destruction to conduct the whole operation, Govinda manifests himself as this guna avatar in the form of Shambhu, who is the separated portion of Govinda imbued with the principle of his subjective plenary portion. The personality of the destructive principle in the form of time has been identified with that of Shambhu by scriptural evidences that have been adduced in the commentary. The purport of the Bhagavad shlokas, namely Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhu, etc., is that Shambhu, in pursuance of the will of Govinda, works in union with his consort Durga Devi by his own time energy. Just as a aside, that shloka he was referring to is Srimad Bhagavatam 12:13-16, where it says, just as the Ganga is the greatest of all rivers, Lord Achyuta, Vishnu Krishna, is supreme among deities, and Lord Shambhu, Shiva, is the greatest of all Vaishnava devotees of Vishnu. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the greatest of all Puranas. So that's that section there. Shambhu is the greatest of all Vaishnavas. Shambhu teaches pious duties, dharma, as stepping stones to the attainment of spiritual service in the various Tantra Shastras, etc., suitable for jivas in different grades of conditional existence. So the Tantra Shastras are available for people who are in different places in their lives, is what he's saying there. In obedience to the, back to the purport, in obedience to the will of Govinda, Shambhu maintains and fosters the religion of pure devotion by preaching the cult of illusionism, Mayavada, and the speculative Agama Shastras. The 50 attributes of individual souls are manifest in a far vaster measure in Shambhu, and 5 additional attributes, not attainable by jivas, are also partly found in him. So Shambhu cannot be called a jiva. He is the Lord of jiva, but yet partakes of the nature of a separated portion of Govinda. So the last couple of sentences there we read in Nectar of Devotion or Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that Lord Shiva has the characteristics of the jiva, but extra. He has extra ones that the jiva does not have. And then, of course, Krishna has all of those, plus more that neither Shiva nor jivas have. So that's what's being referred to here at the end of this purport. All right. Any questions or additions to that? It got a little thick there, I have to admit. The next one is even thicker, and so I'm not even going to try to explain it. The next one, I'm going to go to a different text and read the purport in addition to what I'm reading from the BBT version. All right? All right. Text 46, the Sanskrit. Dipar chir eva hi dashantaram abhyupetya dipayate vivrita hetu samana dharma yastha drig eva hicha vishnutaya vibhati. And here we go. Govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. And I just wanted to say, in reference to all of this so technical, Lord Brahma is the one who put this all together, so he's saying all this stuff because he's the one who did it, right? All right. It just occurred to me. It's like, oh yeah, that's why. All right, here are the synonyms. Deepa archihi, the flame of a lamp. Eva, as, he, certainly. Dasha antaram, another lamp. Abhyupetya, expanding. Dipayate, illuminates. Vivrita hetu, with its expanded cause. Samana dharma, equally powerful. Yahu, tadrik, similarly. Eva, he, or Eva, indeed. He, certainly. Cha, also. Vishnutaya, by his expansion as Lord Vishnu. Vibhati, illuminates. Govindam, Govinda. Adi Purusham, the original person. Tam, him. Aham, I. Bhajami, worship. Translation. The light of one candle being communicated to other candles, although it burns separately in them, is the same in its quality. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who exhibits himself equally in the same mobile manner in his various manifestations. Purport. The presiding deities of Haridam, namely Hari, Narayan, Vishnu, the subjective portions or direct expansions of Krishna, are being described here. The majestic manifestation of Krishna is Narayana, Lord of Vaikuntha. Majestic meaning, heavenly, lots of gold, gems, jewels, lots of stuff. Majestic manifestation. Whose subjective portion is Karnadakashayi Vishnu, the prime cause, whose portion is Garbhodakashayi. Kshirodakashayi is again the subjective portion of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. The word Vishnu indicates all-pervading, omnipresent, and omniscient personality. In this shloka, the activities of the subjective portions of the divinity are enunciated by the specification of the nature of Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. The personality of Vishnu, the embodied form of the manifestive quality Sattva Guna, is quite distinct from that of Shambhu, who is adulterated with mundane qualities. Vishnu's subjective personality is on a level of that of Govinda. Both consist of the unadulterated substantive principle. Vishnu, in the form of the manifest causal principle, is identical with Govinda as regards quality. The manifestive quality of sattva guna that is found to exist in the triple mundane quality, right, goodness, passion, and ignorance, is an adulterated entity. So he's talking about that Vishnu being alloyed with the qualities of purport. The presiding deities of Haridam, namely Hare, Narayana, Vishnu, etc., the subjective portions, those direct expansions of Krishna, are being described here. The majestic manifestation of Krishna is Narayan, Lord of Vaikuntha. And majestic, he means, gold and ornamentation and the worshipful, that kind of majestic manifestation in Vaikuntha. So his subjective portion is Karanadakshayi Vishnu, the prime cause, whose portion is Garbhodakshayi. Kshirodakshayi is again the subjective portion of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. The word Vishnu indicates all-pervading, omnipresent, and omniscient personality. In this shloka, the activities of the subjective portions of the divinity are enunciated by the specification of the nature of Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. The personality of Vishnu, the embodied form of the manifestive quality, sattva guna, is quite distinct from that of Shambhu, who is adulterated with mundane qualities. Vishnu's subjective personality is on a level with that of Govinda. Both consist of the unadulterated substantive principle. Vishnu, in the form of the manifest causal principle, is identical with Govinda as regards quality. The manifestive quality, sattva guna, that is found to exist in the triple mundane quality, that is, goodness, passion, and ignorance, is an adulterated entity, being alloyed with the qualities of mundane activity and inertia. So he's saying because he's identified with those triple qualities, goodness, passion, and ignorance, that there's some difference there in that Vishnu. Brahma is the dislocated portion of the divinity, manifested in the principle of mundane action, endowed with the functional nature of his subjective portion. And Shambhu is the dislocated portion of the divinity, manifested in the principle of mundane inertia, possessing similarly the functional nature of his subjective portion. So just saying they have their jobs and they're a little bit different because of those jobs that they're involved in. The reason for their being dislocated portions is that the two principles of mundane action and inertia, being altogether wanting in the spiritual essence, any entities that are manifested in them, are located at a great distance from the divinity himself or his facsimiles. Although the mundane manifestive qualities is of the adulterated kind, Vishnu, the manifestation of the divinity in the mundane manifestive quality, makes his appearance in the unadulterated manifestive principle, which is a constituent of the mundane manifestive quality. Hence, Vishnu is the full subjective portion and belongs to the category of the superior Ishvaras. He is the Lord of the deluding potency and not alloyed with her. Vishnu is the agent of Govinda's own subjective nature in the form of the prime cause. So he's saying Vishnu and Govinda, no difference. He's just here working here, doing this work in the mundane plane. So all the majestic attributes of Govinda, aggregating 60 in number, are fully present in his majestic manifestation, Narayan. Brahma and Shiva are entities adulterated with mundane qualities. So they have material qualities. Though Vishnu is also divine appearance and appearing in mundane quality, the guna avatar, still he is not adulterated. The appearance of Narayan in the form of Mahavishnu, the appearance of Mahavishnu in the form of Garbhodakashayi, and the appearance of Vishnu in the form of Kshirodakshayi Vishnu are examples of the ubiquitous function of the divinity, so he can do all these things at the same time. Vishnu is Godhead himself, and the two other guna avatars, Brahma and Shambhu, and all the other gods are entities possessing authority in subordination to him. From the subjective, majestic manifestation of the supreme self-luminous Govinda emanate Karanadakshayi Vishnu, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, and all other derivative, subjective, divine descending avatars such as Rama, etc., analogous to communicated light, appearing in different candles, shining by the operation of the spiritual potency of Govinda. So we're supposed to be done right now, but I really want to read this other piece. And because we had that slight interruption, I think I can give myself an extra 5 minutes. Okay? So that's what I'm going to do. This is from Srila Narayana Maharaja's version of, and this is the same discussion, but maybe a little bit more clear. In the verse under discussion, the presiding deity of Haridam, who is named variously as Hari, Narayana, Vishnu, etc., is being described as a plenary expansion. The Lord of Vaikuntha, Sri Narayan, is the pastime form of Sri Krishna. His expansion is the first of the Purusha avatars, Karanadakshayi Mahavishnu, who in turn expands as the second Purusha avatar, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, who further expands as the third Purusha avatar, Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. The word Vishnu indicates he who is known by all his pervasiveness, which extends across all situations and conditions. Although he descends to the mundane universe, he remains omnipresent and in every way transcendental to the influence of the illusory potency. In this verse, the nature of pastime expansions is being described by defining the nature of Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. Vishnu Tattva, the presiding deity of material mode of goodness, is distinguished from Shambhu Tattva by the latter's intermingling with the qualities of Maya. Oh, I like that, intermingling. The purport is that Vishnu also possesses Sri Govinda's intrinsic nature. Both have the quality of having a purely transcendental svarup, or form. Because Vishnu is manifest from Sri Govinda, he has the same constitutional nature as Sri Govinda. That is to say, Vishnu Tattva is completely pure and transcendental to Maya. The mundane mode of goodness, present in the material energy, composed of the three material modes, is mixed with passion and ignorance. Thus it is called impure goodness. Brahma, endowed with the potency of a personal expansion, but is a separated expansion, mixed with the mode of passion, while Shambhu, who has the potency of a personal expansion, is a separated expansion mixed with the material mode of ignorance. Since both principles are separated expansions mixed with the material modes of passion and ignorance respectively, they are extremely unconscious or insentient. For this reason, they have been cast very far away from the original form and from the expanded forms of the divinity. However, although Vishnu, the presiding deity of the material mode of goodness, is situated within the material mode of goodness, he is an expansion of Sri Krishna, whose nature is in unalloyed, pure goodness. And he is also situated in unalloyed, pure goodness beyond the qualities of Maya. Therefore, Vishnu, being fully the supreme controller and pastime expansion, is not in contact with Maya. Rather, he is the Lord of Maya. I think I'll keep reading. Vishnu is aware that he is Sri Govinda's personal expansion. Sri Govinda's complete opulence, which consists of 64 qualities, is fully displayed in his pastime form, Sri Narayana. Brahma and Shiva are mixed with the modes of material nature, and thus they are not unalloyed principles like Vishnu, although they are presiding deities of material modes. Sri Narayana appears in the form of Karanadakshayi Mahavishnu, and Mahavishnu appears in the form of Garbhodakshayi, who in turn appears as Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. Such appearances are examples of Vishnu's all-pervading nature. One whose individual Swarup is manifest everywhere is called Charishnu. Vishnu is the only supreme controller. Apart from him, the two other presiding deities of the material modes, as well as all of the demigods, are principles of subordinate authority. Garbhodakshayi Vishnu and Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, as well as the personal expansions such as Rama, are manifest from Mahavishnu, who is also a pastime form. Sri Govinda is likened to the original great flame form, from whom the pastime expansion Karanadakshayi Mahavishnu is expanded. All personal expansions are likened to separately situated flames transmitted from the original. All such personal expansions shine brilliantly and forever through the agency of Sri Govinda's transcendental potency, which harkens back to the original verse about the candles. All right, we'll stop there. That's a lot of information tonight, but so interesting. So we learned about Durga being the form of Srimati Radharani. We learned about Brahma and Shiva as being subordinate expansions of Vishnu, and more and more and more. So I hope you enjoyed this reading tonight. It was really interesting. And of course, we forever thank Srila Prabhupada for bringing this to us. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for coming. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.